Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about another race build here, the Mana Waste Mutant. Something to go along with the neighboring Gebites that I made. This could also be introduced with Gorns, which are also featured in the Inner Sea Bestiary, along with the Mana Waste Mutant. So you got three types right there that you can use: the Gebite, the Mana Waste Mutant, or the Gorin, more of a plant-based creature. So I really liked what I saw in the Mana Waste Mutant from the Inner Sea Bestiary, and came up with a build for that as a player race, something that wasn't a acquired template based on an interaction or encounter with one of these creatures. And what's nice about the Mana Waste Mutant is that you formerly were another type of race, and due to the magic warp and effects of the Mana Waste, you become something else, some sort of mutant. Whatever you had it before, abilities and such, are just gone. And in place of these are these talents or deformities or transmutations and transformations and such. So I propose the Mana Waste Mutant as a player race. So just get started on that. I'll read a little bit on that. The magic warp and effects of the Mana Waste often extend to the very life force of creatures who wander the trackless deserts. The dangerous radiations of magic gone afoul infuse the bodies and essence of these wanderers. Those who spend too much time in the spell-scarred desert, or the wasteland's other treacherous environs, occasionally fall prey to deadly energies that persist in these regions. And their bodies gradually decay more and more until they are so far removed from their original forms that they can be described only as mutants. The border guards of neighboring necks keep a stringent lookout for such wasteland travelers and attack them on sight. The necromancers of Geb, however, see potential in the mutated peoples of the spell-scarred desert, and occasionally entreat them to leave their blasted home and relocate to the heart of Geb and Yeld by promising a life of comfort and acceptance. In actuality, such mutants are taken to the infamous Moratorium, where Geb's cruelest wizards perform unholy experiments on Alkenstar's deformed expatriates and turn them into undead abominations to serve in Geb's lurchin army. So, kind of gives you a sort of encompassing sort of theme and what to expect when running this type of creature as you introduce it to your players, and what sort of factions or those that oppose them or may entreat them and such. So the mutant, it came out to a total of 17 racial points. So it's, a advanced race. Before you pick any of the talents and deformities, it'll be around 11 points, but you'll see as I sort of get into this further along. But since they're mutants, the type, they're going to be an Aberration. And based on Aberrations, they have Darkvision as their racial feats. That's a free cost. Of course, they breathe, eat, and sleep. That's really all you need to know right there. Other than that, they're just some sort of bizarre, strange combination of different features. So yeah, size medium. Ability score modifiers and with weakness, where it's a -1 racial point. So you get a +2 to con, a +2 to intelligence, and a -4 to charisma. And due to the adverse and unrealized energies of Mana Waste, your constitution would go up. Perhaps you would get a slight increase in intelligence, And then their charisma, of course, because, as I put it, mana waste mutants are hardy and keen, but their infusion to dangerous radiations impedes any dealings with most of society. So, languages, standard. I went with mana waste begin play speaking common, and the primary language of their host society. So maybe Kellish or Syrian or something else you deem appropriate. Mutants with a high intelligence scores can choose from the following: Aklo, Draconic, Dwarven, Elven, Giant, Gnoll, Goblin, and Orc. You can switch that up to what you feel is best suited, but I just went with those based on the type of creature it could have been in its former life before the transformation. So, I mean, this could have some sort of appearance of a gnoll, some sort of elf, goblin. I don't know. It's a little small. So, orc, dwarven. So, you got a little different, few different things there. You're not bound or kind of within this guideline of how it has to look. You have a lot of free will and a lot of creativity to kind of take this how you see fit. So let's see, racial traits. We go into defense racial traits. I went with healthy, and of course I'll call that unnatural health. It's a unexpected benefit. So, mutants gain a +4 bonus on fortitude saves against disease and poison, including magical disease. So yes, they're still susceptible to disease, poisons, and such, but they have a bonus to save versus those. And feat and skill racial traits. Shards of the Past. I really felt that this was needed because of their former lives, whatever fragmentations, memories and such they can just barely remember during those instances. They'll be able to pick 2 particular knowledge skills, and they would get a +2 racial bonus on both of these skills, and the skills are treated as class skills regardless of what class they decide to choose. So I thought that was something that was absolutely necessary for this build. And that was 4 racial points. And one that I just discussed, which was the healthy or unnatural health, that also had a cost of 4. So now we go to offense racial traits. I went with toxic, and with that, it's a 1 racial point cost. Mutants can envenom a weapon that it wields with its radiated saliva or blood. Using blood requires the creature to be injured when it uses this ability. Applying a toxin this way is a swift action. You can perform this extraordinary ability a number of times per day equal to your Constitution modifier, which would be a minimum of 1 day. And what would you be able to do for the toxin? I call it mana toxin. Injury is how it comes to form. The save, fortitude DC 10 plus half the hit dice plus the Constitution modifier. And it would go on once a round for 6 rounds. In effect would be 1 con, and then to cure you would need one save. So I think we're getting towards the end here. Senses racial traits, Darkvision, since that was already given to them by picking Aberration, the racial point cost is free. And then what I've also introduced here, based that they're a mana waste mutant, you can pick 1 talent and 1 deformity. You can only pick 1 from each of those types, and I list about 4 of them in each one. So going off the mutation talents, you get to pick 1, and the first one is acidic pustules. It's all these are going to be 3 racial points, even the deformities. So going with the first one, Acidic Pustules. I didn't have anything to base this off of in the Advanced Race Guide, so I just made this a homebrew. And what it is, mana waste mutants are often covered in necrotic pustules that burst at the slightest touch. Whenever a creature deals piercing or slashing damage to a mana waste mutant, all creatures adjacent to the mana waste mutant must succeed a reflex save, which is DC 10 plus the mutant's hit dice plus the Constitution modifier, or take acid damage as its boils and blisters pop and spray about. A mana waste mutant deals 1d4 acid damage. So that's a nice feature there, a defensive mechanism. Next one will be acid resistance. And really how I built this is I just took energy resistance 1 racial point plus the improved resistance of 2 racial points for a total of 3. And what this is they gain acid resistance, and mana waste mutant gains resistance to acid 10. Next one on the list is breath weapon. It's a cost of 3. How I built it was just using what was listed in the Advanced Race Guide for breath weapon, which was 1 racial point, but then I gave them extra breath, 1 racial point, and the increased area, which was 1 racial point for a total of 3. And what is that? Mana waste mutant can spray a 30-foot cone of acidic bile from its mouth as a standard action twice per day. The acid deals 1d6 damage. A successful reflex save 10 plus the mutant's hit dice plus the mutant's Constitution modifier. So you can take no damage from this attack if you make that save. And then with greater spell resistance as another option to pick up as the last on that list for mutation talents. And what that is, it's in the book as well. The mutant gains spell resistance equal to 11 plus their character level. So from all those talents I listed, you can only pick one of those. Unexpected talent that they would gain. And now we go to the mutation deformities. And you can only pick one from these, and all of them have a cost of 3 racial points. So I had to homebrew this next one here for the multi-armed option in the book. And I call it limb growth. Possessing 3 arms, the mutant can wield multiple weapons, but only one hand is the primary hand. The others are offhands, but one of those offhands suffers a -2 penalty. The mutant can use those hands for other purposes that require free hands. So I took what was listed in multi-armed, which has the option of 3 arms, or for another cost you can make it 4 arms, but it was for monstrous races only, and since mine's only advanced, I gave it a penalty by giving the -2 to the 3rd arm. So that's kind of what I went with. Doesn't seem too overpowered. Next one is Deformed Legs. I just took Fleet-Footed from the book, which is 3 racial points. And with the Deformed Legs, the mutant has hind legs now. And the unexpected benefit is that it allows him to run as a bonus feat. So he receives run as a bonus feat, and you get a +2 racial bonus on initiative checks. Maybe that's where part of that knoll came into play, or some other creature. And then finally, Shattered Mind. It's a homebrew option that I made using the naturally Psionic plus Psionic Aptitude. So 3 racial points, and what does that entail? The mutant has manifested on a Psionic level. The mutant gains the Wild Talent feat as a bonus feat at 1st level. If levels in a Psionic class are taken, the mutant instead gains the Psionic Talent feat. When the mutant takes a level in a Psionic class, it can choose to gain an additional power point instead of a hit point or a skill point. So with this, selection, you have now made your race a psionic race. So you can use what's presented in Psionics Unleashed and Psionics Expanded, and eventually Ultimate Psionics. Dreamscarred Press has their own version of Psionics for Pathfinder. So it's a third-party resource, third-party publisher. You just decide if you want to allow Psionics into your campaign. If you didn't want this, if you don't like Psionics for whatever reason, whatever, that's fine. To change this, what you can do, give me a moment here, and okay. If you don't want to do that, you can give them instead, in its place, limited telepathy. It's 3 racial points. I'm basically taking this from the Lashunta. It's a race also featured in the Inner Sea Bestiary. And that, a Lashunta is able to mentally communicate with any creature within a 30-foot range with whom she shares a language. Otherwise, this ability is identical to the telepathy ability. So, there you still introduce some sort of psionic reservoir of power. So, you got those 2 options there for you if you don't want to do the psionic race. I allow it in my game. I think it's pretty cool. But, you know, whatever you want to do is fine. I just gotta get back to where the hell I was at. Alright. Okay, so I think we're just about done here now. The next one would be, or the last one on the list for the Mutation Deformities, would be Warped Hide. And it's 3 racial points. And how I built that was using the natural armor of 2 racial points plus the improved natural armor of 1 racial point. And that is the mutant's body is covered in strange mottled grass and bulbous tissues, gain an additional +2 bonus to its natural armor. So that's all I got. I haven't made any feats or other traits and such for this yet. This is just the stock sort of draft example. And just keep in mind, once again, with the mutation talents, you only pick 1 from the list. I would have the player pick it. And then the mutation deformities, unexpected benefit, they would pick 1 from that as well. So I was really happy with this one. This was a very fun build. I finally got to introduce another opposition sort of race to that region, but of course you can put this in any sort of game. Even it doesn't have to be mana waste specific. It could just be a mutant, magical warp and effects. So that's all I got. But just keep in mind some of the other races, like the Gearsman and the Minotaur. I've made at least 4 or 5 alterations already to those. They're getting better. I've dropped the racial point cost down quite a bit on 1 and added some things that made sense. So check those out and just be aware that any of these things that I post can change at any time, make updates or refine them to where race would be much better in my opinion and most of the opinions of the players that I introduce this to. So hope you like this, and it's fun for your group, and I had a lot of pride with this one just because I was able to take it right from the Inner Sea Bestiary and make it my own. I didn't have to look at a third-party resource and try to reword some of the script from that with the mechanical build, or some of the technical words, and change them around, or try not to make it so overpowered and tone down certain things. So this one was a direct representation from the bestiary. So thank you for your time. See ya.